January 21st, 1990. A red 1989 Ford Thunderbird sits abandoned on the shoulder of County Road 218 in Middleburg, Florida. The engine is still running, the headlights are on, her purse is inside, her keys are still in the ignition. But the woman driving that car, 26-year-old Teryl Orcutt, is gone.
For days, her family searched for answers. Then, exactly 1 week later, two young boys on three-wheelers made a horrifying discovery in a wooded area less than 4 miles away.
Teryl had been stabbed to death. She was found wearing only underwear, socks, and shoes. And more than 36 years later, nobody has ever been arrested. Tonight, we're talking about the life, disappearance, and unsolved murder of Teryl Orcutt.
And we're digging into the theories, the possible psychology behind the killer, and why law enforcement believes someone in that community knows far more than they've ever admitted. Welcome back to Coffee and Crime with Mom. I'm Zaylee.
And I'm Nicole. Mom, grab your coffee.
And let's get into it.
Okay, before we start, this case honestly scared me.
Same. It's the abandoned car part for me. Cases with cars left running always feel extremely disturbing because it suggests that something happened like super fast.
Exactly. Like she didn't plan to stop. She didn't plan to leave the car. Something interrupted her.
And I don't know about everybody else, but for me, there's always something terrifying about rural roads at night, especially before the cell phone.
Can you imagine? Because you're isolated, and if something happened, you couldn't just text someone your location.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Are you that
And
old?
I am that old. What
Okay,
do you
go ahead.
mean? What
I
do
feel
you
like you had
mean?
a phone around 8. That's how old you are.
Yeah, that's how old I am. Right. Don't do me. I'm old. Okay. And then in Florida in the late 80s and early 90s had a lot of like unsolved violent crimes happening around highways and wooded areas. So that didn't help.
It didn't. And that makes this case even more chilling. Teryl Orcutt was 26 years old in 1990, and she lived in Clay County, Florida, near Jacksonville, where we used to live, where you
Which
were
I do
born.
not remember. Yeah, have no recollection at all. But her family members described her as outgoing, ambitious, and stylish.
She worked as a bank manager. Some sources say vice president. I heard she was about to get a promotion to be vice president. And she was just 26 years old and was reportedly on track to become the first female president of her bank in the city. That's awesome.
Yeah, at a young age, that's awesome. And according to her sister, Cheryl Turner, she was not someone who would just disappear voluntarily, which it doesn't seem like it if she was on track for a promotion.
I know. And that's important because in many missing persons cases, especially back then, adults were sometimes initially treated as if they may have simply left. But her loved ones immediately knew something was wrong. On January 21st, 1990, Teryl had been visiting her boyfriend in Jacksonville.
Right. And then at some point around like 5 a.m. in the morning, she left to drive home back to Middleburg.
But she never made it.
No. Later, though, her red Ford Thunderbird was found abandoned along County Road 218 in Middleburg.
The case becomes incredibly eerie. The engine was running, her headlights were on, her purse was left inside the car, her keys were in the ignition, and her prescription eyeglasses, which she always wore, were found about 50 feet from the vehicle. And let me say something about those glasses being found by the vehicle. Because her sister said that her and other people from, because it was a pretty small town back then, had all come there when they saw the cops in the car over there. And so everybody was looking around. We'll talk about the crime scene later, but everybody was looking around. Nobody found these glasses. So this boyfriend walked up. Her family had not met him yet. And he walked up and then, talked to them or whatever. Everybody left. And then he came back saying he found the glasses out there by her car.
So everybody is automatically like,
We were were just out there. We were just
Yeah,
out there
that's
looking. Yeah.
weird. That's suspicious.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. And then we don't know you?
right, right.
I'm sure that immediately raised all of the questions.
Well, her
Okay.
sister in that documentary, one of the documentaries I watched, she don't trust nobody and everybody did it, and I don't blame her after 30 some years.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the first questions had to have been, did somebody force her out of the car?
Mhm,
Did she stop for somebody that she trusted? Was somebody in the middle of the road? Was she flagged
mhm,
down? Or was there some kind of like roadside emergency set up so that people would stop?
because people generally do not leave a running vehicle voluntarily in the middle of nowhere.
No, I've never heard of that ever, ever. And then another critical tidbit was that the route that she was taking where her car was found was not her normal route home. It was
That's
an
right.
alternate route, which is
At
another thing
4 or 5
suspicious.
o'clock in the morning when it's dark, yeah. So according to her sister Cheryl, Terrell typically took I-295 to 103rd.
Mhm, mhm.
That's right. According to her sister Cheryl, Terrell typically took I-295 to 103rd Street, then south on County Road 217. She usually avoided dark roads. They said she was scared to drive in the dark, and she had another option.
You kinda answered the question about why she avoided dark roads.
No, you don't know
Oh,
why she avoided dark
oh,
roads yet.
okay. You said
It's
because she was
just that
scared of the
she
dark.
avoided them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, there's a
Well,
reason.
I'm scared of the dark, so that makes sense to me because I hate to drive down dark roads.
Well, yes, you do.
Plus my beautiful mother over here used to force me to watch movies that I was terrified of, and Jeepers Creepers happened to be one of them, and I am 30 years old, okay, and I am still scared of driving on dark roads, especially if you got, like, the little sunroof, because,
Mm,
baby, he not about to come snatch me up out my car over here where ain't no
not
street lights
not
at,
Jeepers
okay?
Creepers, no thank you.
Now that might be my reasoning why I'm scared of dark roads, but what was her reasoning why she avoided the dark roads? Because maybe it's more sensible than Jeepers
Then
Creepers.
that you had to watch scary movies with your mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was because years earlier, she had experienced something traumatic. Her sister Cheryl was driving Terrell and their brother to a friend's house when a drugged woman jumped into the van holding a knife. So Terrell had been afraid of the dark and of stopping on isolated roads ever since.
First of all, okay, let's just rewind. Where the hell were they at that this woman jumped into a van holding a knife? And secondly, was the door just open?
I mean, these are questions. They are questions
I
and not
mean,
bad questions, but I don't have the
no,
answer to those questions.
I'm wondering because
Yeah.
I feel
Mhm.
like, yeah, I would have some kind of trauma too if a crazy bitch on drugs jumped in the van with a knife and was like, ah, what? And I'm sure it had to have been on some like I don't know. I have like 10 different scenarios playing in my head on what possibly could have happened. Okay,
We don't
so
know. We don't know.
yeah, that is insane. I would be traumatized too. But so that makes her being on County Road 218 even more significant because she has this trauma, right? So something or someone had to have gotten her there or to go that route. And then there was a witness.
Yes. There was a woman who lived very close to where the car was found who reported something chilling to investigators. She told deputies she was awakened by a woman screaming, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
My goodness, what, I didn't
That
do
is
anything.
like I can feel it in my body right now. That is like terrifying
Yeah,
to
you
think
had to
that
have
you're
been
out there on
scared.
that dark road and that's what she's screaming. Somebody was out there with her. I'm sorry,
So
we're
she had
early.
to have thought that she was being accused of something, was pulled over and confronted. She obviously wasn't doing this of her own free will, screaming, I didn't do
Right.
anything. But what could they have said to her that that was the response? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
do you think that makes it feel like maybe it was somebody that was trying to, it could be impersonating a police officer, fake
Hmm.
pulled to over,
Yeah.
or it was a cop?
Yeah. Something like that.
Or
It's
yeah,
crazy.
or some another druggie was like, "You took all my coke. Give me all my
Something.
coke." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, mhm.
And that detail became the seed of a rumor that would haunt this case for decades. Authorities quickly launched an investigation.
Right, and according to reports, investigators believe foul play was likely involved almost immediately, which makes sense because, 1, the car was left on
Right.
with nobody in it.
Right. And then exactly 1 week later, on January 28th, 1990, the worst fears of her family became reality. Her body was discovered in a wooded area off Southley Drive, less than 4 miles from where her car had been found. And it was two teenage boys that found her body there.
Mm,
And they ran
mm.
home and they told their parents, and then the dad came back, and that's who called the police.
That's crazy. So that's 3 people who had to see
Mhm.
the body. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing though. Her body wasn't hidden. It was just dumped. Like, it was just there. They
Right.
didn't have to, like, go looking for it. She was
Mhm.
just out. Yeah.
Right. And detectives said she was found about 50 feet into the tree line, not covered, not buried, just left there. Like you said, dumped.
Yeah, which is insane because that's not normally they people do that if they're in a hurry. People who, like, actively kill don't just typically just dump bodies,
Right.
you know?
Or somebody who's
So
not concerned about being found out.
that could be it too, yeah. When
Mhm.
she was found, though, she had suffered 2 stab wounds to the chest, though some of the early reports said several stab wounds, so we're gonna go with 2 because that
Right. And
was what we were
she
saying mostly.
also had a broken clavicle on her left side.
She was fighting. She was
She was
fighting.
fighting.
And then most disturbing, she was found wearing only her underwear, socks, and shoes. Her clothes were missing. How did you get her coat? Like, what was she? Depending on what she was wearing. If it was like
Mhm.
pants and stuff, her shoes, her like, did you take her clothes off
Right.
over the shoes, or did you put the shoes back on her? Like, that is just
That's crazy. And
disturbing.
nothing that I looked at said what articles of clothing exactly were missing. They
Yeah,
just said this is what she had on. This is all she had on.
yeah, that's
And
crazy.
because of decomposition, detectives couldn't say with certainty whether she had been sexually assaulted. But the state of her clothing strongly suggests a sexual motivation. Definitely.
Yeah, and then I think the location of where her body found became like super focused, right? Because it's in the
Hmm.
middle, it's in the woods, but it's right there on the
Hmm.
like tree line. So investigators believe that the killer may have been familiar with the area because that's an oddly specific place to just dump a body.
And it's not far from where
Yeah.
she was taken.
Yeah.
Only 4 miles, and, on Southley Drive in 1990, it was described as little more than a rural driveway. Virtually
Hmm.
unknown, someone had to know it was there.
Yeah. A
And
local.
over the years, the Clay County Sheriff's Office has repeatedly stated the case remains active.
So officials have also said advances in forensic technology, including newer DNA testing, could potentially generate new leads, which we love forensic science over here.
We do, we do. In 2013, Detective Katie Paget, then the lead investigator on the cold case, told News 4 Jax, one thing about the car that stood out to us was that it was parked so close to the roadway. It was running when it was found. Her purse being in the passenger seat was just another thing that's not normal. And I just want to point out a little bit more detail. Yeah, we'll cut that out. We'll go on. It's later.
Okay, yeah, but that's even more weird because if somebody was taking you or something like that was happening, wouldn't they just
Hmm.
normally people just push you over and get in the car? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So they could dispose
Mhm.
of your body in the car. There's nothing left there, and then they could come back and get their car.
Right.
So,
They
like,
could take the evidence away.
yeah, that is weird. But Detective Paget, that's how you said it?
I said Paget.
Detective Paget also noted that for him, the car being parked close to the edge of the road led to some people assuming that a law enforcement officer had pulled her over, like I said, because that's the
Mhm.
only thing I could think of for it to be
With what
pulled
she yelled
over.
out.
And then
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
the only reason people normally because everybody doesn't just turn their car off when they get pulled over. Some people just pull over and sit
Right.
in the car. So she could have just
Mhm.
pulled over and then he could just yanked her or she could have just yanked him out of the car. Like,
We don't know. Right.
yeah.
And that rumor was fueled by what that witness heard.
Yeah.
Paget confirmed the witness, who lived very close to where the car was found, reported to them that she was awakened by a woman screaming, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. So it definitely makes it sound like, I mean, I don't know. It has to be somebody that's after her if it's not a police officer, but it's not didn't seem like wasn't really any talk about her being on any kind of drugs where maybe a drug dealer would be looking for her. I mean, she was about to be the VP of a bank. Although I probably
Right.
know a few VPs at banks who are on drugs, but probably, I would just that's not the norm.
Right. But I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like it's too clean. You know what I'm saying? Like the car is
Mhm,
just there. It's not like no sign inside the car. It was a struggle or nothing like that that you could really tell so far.
mhm,
Her glasses weren't found that far. So
yeah.
I felt like if it was somebody coming for her, it probably would have been more of a rough experience or like a messier crime scene,
Yeah,
than
I
it
would almost
just the
think if
car being
somebody
left.
yeah, some drug dealer or something was after her, maybe she owed somebody money, I don't know. It would seem easier for those people to just kill her where she was and just
Yeah.
leave.
The law enforcement is sticking out for me. That just
Mhm,
makes the most sense.
yeah,
But
mhm,
Captain Ronnie Gann, who has worked this case extensively, addressed the road cop theory directly. He told News 4
Jax.
Jax.
It's
N-
Jacksonville.
Got you. He told News for Jax, but back in the 1990s, the community perception was that it was law enforcement related, based on how the vehicle was found on the side of the road. No one would stop and leave the engine running unless they were stopped by a law enforcement officer, which is what I said. So the fact that the captain felt the same way.
Mhm. Well, but he also said, "In my heart, I don't believe it was a cop, and I don't want to believe it was any of the guys that were working that night. They're good men. They were great cops. I don't think they had murder in them. I can tell you that." And here's my issue with that. I don't know Detective Gann or anything. I just think that it's always hard for people to believe that people that they know can do horrible things,
Yeah, that's always the
but
case.
they do all the
Hmm.
time.
All of the time. All
Mhm.
the time. Instead, he believes that someone may have impersonated a law enforcement officer, which I also said could be the case too.
Yeah, it
If it
could
wasn't
be.
an actual cop, it could have just been somebody impersonating a cop because that's the only reason I can think for somebody to pull over and leave their car on
Mhm.
to me.
And
So
scream, "I didn't do anything."
right, right. And he also said that back during that period, it was very easy to get your hands on a blue light, which was what they were using, just slap that baby on the hood or,
Yeah,
bloop
yeah.
out the window. And then
Mhm.
it was also pretty simple to get your hands on a badge. So, and then if I'm not mistaken, during this time, it was another case completely unrelated, but somewhere in New York where they
Mhm.
had found these like bag full of it was like police officer uniforms, the fire department, like fake like uniforms, but they looked super real and somebody had just
Yeah.
dumped them. They were like put them on the
Oh,
side of the
wow.
road for trash and it got like bust open. They noticed there was a whole bunch of
Police officer.
NYC officer. Yeah. So like, you know what I'm saying? That was
Yeah.
around the same time. So I could see where it was easy. So the impersonation thing
Mhm.
definitely seems more plausible.
It could be, yeah. There may be Gann believes there may have been more than one offender. He
Yeah.
stated, "I believe that it was more than one person based on it would be very difficult to pull that person over, get them into a vehicle, and leave with them by yourself. With them putting up a fight, I believe it was more than one person."
Well, the way it sounds like when it talks about the stab wound and the broken glass, it sounds like she was fighting. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I can understand that. But if it was one big ass man,
I mean,
then
yeah, because if you think about her clavicle was broken, her left clavicle. She stopped on the side of the road. I don't we used to have a Thunderbird. It's a huge car, especially the old ones. They're big. And so the window is down. If there's a big guy and she starts screaming and he just yanks her out
yanks
of
her
that
out the
window,
car. Yeah.
then that could have I mean, if you move that fast and hurt somebody that seriously, they're even though they're fighting, it's less impactful
And
because
what if she still had her seatbelt on? And
yeah.
that's that side. So they could have
Mhm.
tried to yank her out of the car with the seatbelt on and that broke.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it lines up. It
Yeah.
lines up. But in more recent coverage, though, investigators expressed hope that someone who was afraid to speak decades ago might finally come forward, which hopefully somebody is brave, like the one woman who spoke up and said she was woken up out of her sleep.
Right,
Because I'm
right.
sure that had to you're that close to hear
And
her
when you don't
screaming.
know what happened to her and she's
Yeah,
gone, especially at that time, she's just gone. They haven't even found her yet.
yeah.
And honestly, that's common in older cases. Relationships change, loyalties change, fear changes, people die off,
Mhm.
they go to
Yeah,
jail,
exactly. People who stayed silent in 1990 may not stay silent forever. Hopefully, somebody comes forward and
Hopefully.
they say something knowing that,
Mhm.
we need this information and it's been 30 years, 30
Just
plus
about.
years. Yeah. So,
Mhm. And one of the strongest voices keeping this case alive has been Terrell's sister, Cheryl Turner. She was in all of the information, videos, things I read. She's really fighting to find her who killed her sister.
yeah, she definitely has spoken publicly about wanting justice for her sister and making sure that her sister, Terrell, is remembered as a person and not just as a cold case file, which tends to be the case a lot of the times with family dealing with
Mhm.
situations like this.
Yeah, when there's nothing in this case, unless it's a cop, it seems like whoever did this, there was just nothing for the police to go off of.
Yeah.
From what I see, it's like there was just not enough. It seemed like there was gonna be a lot when you talk about finding that car with everything in it. She has to be somewhere near here, and then they find her. You would think there would be some type of evidence, but it looks like they either couldn't test things or there was nothing there. So it just makes it harder for them to find that person, but it's also horrible for the family. And
Mm.
in a 2013 interview with News4 Jax, Cheryl said through tears, "It's almost 24 years and I still cry over it."
And in a 2018 interview with First Coast News, she said, "It hurts like hell. She has been dead 28 years. She was only alive 26 years. It's a crying shame that your murder goes unsolved longer than you've been alive." And I concur. I
That is
completely agree with her.
horrible.
I think that's horrible.
Cheryl has also been very clear about what she believes happened that night. She told News4Jax she wouldn't have pulled over for a lawman. "I don't know why she pulled over or how she pulled over. All I can think is she was forced over and she got over like that to keep from getting run over."
Why wouldn't she pull over for a lawman is a question. Maybe on the dark road. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe it's because she was on that dark road. She was probably like she wouldn't pull over for
Yeah,
anybody back there
because
because she was scared.
where it was at. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so Cheryl believes that the killer was local, which I feel like is
It had to be.
truthful. It had to
Yeah.
have been. Yeah. She said the area where Terrell's body was found, South Lee Road, was virtually unknown in 1990, like we said already. So you have to
Mhm.
think about it. Hold on. You had to think who put her there. Someone who was familiar with the area, as Detective Schoonover put it. Schoonover is the name.
That's a name. Cheryl also made a powerful promise. Her mother, Rosie Robinson, was consumed by grief after Terrell's death, of course. She hounded detectives for answers and kept Terrell's ashes in a small marble box near her unicorns and photographs.
Heartbreaking. I love her name, by the way. I love that. Rosie Robinson.
We love alliteration.
But Rosie never got her answers, unfortunately. She died of brain cancer on August 21st, 1997, never knowing who killed her daughter.
That makes my heart hurt.
It makes mine hurt too.
Cheryl told News4Jax that before their mother died, she promised her she would never stop pushing for justice. She said, "My mother died of cancer before she got her answers, and I promised her while she was going through her treatment that I would push this, and I am pushing it."
Yeah, so I just want to let y'all know whoever's standing in Cheryl's way, she is a force to be reckoned with, okay?
Yeah.
Because one, she has a sister who is gone, and from what it seems like, she loved her sister.
Yes.
So she's her sister's voice when she can't no longer has one. And then her mom, she
Mm,
promised on her deathbed to her, like, I'm gonna make this happen for you.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
she's
And she
not gonna
lost her
ever give up.
sister and
Yeah.
doesn't know what happened. And then her mom
And then her
had
mom.
cancer and died. Oh my God. I feel for her so much.
Yeah, that's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna boo boo on myself. Okay, hold on.
Do you need to go boo boo, Zane?
Nope, I'm gonna hold it and we're gonna get through this episode. And when asked what she would say to her sister's killer, Cheryl responded through tears. "The only thing I want to know from that person is why. I want to know what
I
you
don't.
did.
I don't.
Oh, I don't want to know what you did, how you did it, or anything. I want to know why her."
And
Mm.
family members describe Terrell as vibrant and full of life.
Yeah, and that's something we always try to emphasize in true crime. I mean, victims are not just headlines. They
No.
had futures, families, routines, dreams, friends, people who cared about them,
Hmm.
lives.
Yes. And Terrell loved fashion, makeup, and dancing. Her sister said she would not check the mail without putting her makeup on first.
So she was a girly, girly girl.
She's a
Yeah.
diva.
Yeah, she loved Christmas. I love Christmas. Okay. Her last one in 1989 was the historic snowfall in Northeast Florida. So that's awesome. That for her
Mhm.
last Christmas, she got to see snow.
Yeah.
Cheryl remembers we had so much fun. We tied ropes to trash can lids and took everybody sledding. That was our last Christmas. The whole family was together. That's so sad. But
Yeah.
at least like her last,
At least they
good
had
holiday.
fun that last
They
Christmas.
had, yeah, they have good
Seemed like it
memories.
was almost magical with the snow and all of that in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida.
Right. And her family has now spent decades without answers, and that is just unfair.
Hmm.
All right. So, one major theory is that Terrell may have known her killer.
Cheryl Turner has been very clear about this. She told First Coast News.
There doesn't appear to have been a prolonged struggle at the vehicle scene. Her purse was untouched and her money was still inside. Let me stop right here because
Right.
this is where I want to say it. So, how they found the car, it was the man who saw the car. He was driving to the store. He saw the car sitting there. He was like, that's weird. And he went to the store. When he came back from the store, the car was still there. So, he pulled over and he's, hello, looking for somebody. He didn't see anybody. So, he goes in the car, takes the keys out of the ignition, he takes the purse, closes the door, and he goes and calls the police. Then it takes an hour for the police to get there. In between that time, all these people, like I said, had come because they see it's a small town at that time. They see the police, this car over there. So all these people are pulling up on along the side of the road behind her car.
Anybody could have done anything.
Yeah, and
The
if there were
person who killed her could have came back.
right.
Yeah.
If they had tire tracks, not to mention the gentleman who I don't feel it didn't seem like he had anything at all to do with it. And in 1990, how much did people know about forensic? How much could that they could do fingerprints and things like that? But the fact that he went in and touched everything,
Into the car. Yeah.
so
Turn the
we don't
keys.
know what information, what evidence was lost because it took the cops an hour to get there, and then
Which is
it was 2 hours
insane.
before the detective got there.
You
To
really can't even
he
do
came in
anything.
and cut off the crime scene after 2 hours that these people had been out
First of
there.
all, why wouldn't the cops have done that as soon as they got on site?
I don't know what they were
Because
thinking.
once you find a car, there's nobody in there, there's no owner, you can't find anything that should automatically become a crime scene. You have no answers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at least a crime scene until we can figure out if it was a damn crime.
Mm-hmm. Right. That
Yeah,
it didn't
that
make
is
sense. And
insane.
even if you think, even if it was the first cop, it took him an hour to get there. And
Yes.
whatever these people were doing before he got there, this
Yeah.
caused damage. We don't know what was there. Somebody had to pull off with her to get her out of the car.
Right.
Somebody's car
So
had to be sitting
I mean,
there for
but
her to
also
pull
what if
over.
more of her stuff was over there? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And people
Right.
are like, "Oh, what's this?" And they just took shit,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that could be a reason why somebody didn't speak up because they took shit from the crime scene and now they're not trying
Yeah.
to get involved. Or the
Mm-hmm.
person who actually committed the crime could have easily came back in the midst of all of this shit and acted like, "Oh, well, what," and clean shit
What?
up.
Think about the boyfriend who magically found these glasses that nobody else saw. So at first I was like, well, he just knew where they were. But now I'm like, if everybody was pulling up,
All of these people.
yeah, we
And
don't know if
then
he
we
if he
searched
picked them
and the
up
cops.
while he was there, or maybe they did get moved. And with all these people out there, not knowing what it was because the glasses were broken, I believe.
Yeah. And then the fact that the money was still inside her purse, all of
Yeah,
that stuff. I'm happy. I mean, the guy took the purse
yeah.
to keep it safe,
I
whatever.
know that I feel like
His
his intentions
intentions
were
were
good.
good. Yeah, but
It just
he
it
don't
didn't help
have
the case.
that bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that in itself makes me agree with the sister because if it
Hmm.
wasn't personal and it was just like a robbery or somebody doing some shit,
Yeah.
the money or shit,
They
the
would have
car
at least taken her
itself,
purse. Yeah. Like
so
you were
all of
saying,
that
get
to
in
be
the car
left.
and take the car and then do what you want
Yeah.
to do with her. Why
Yeah.
pull her? It had to be
It had
about
to have
Tara.
been something about her. Yeah. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like all of that can suggest that the victim probably initially felt safe enough to approach someone voluntarily, or that the offender was able to control the situation quickly. And it
They
just
had to.
really, really, really makes me feel like A, it was somebody impersonating a cop, or it was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only things that make,
And so
because
then, but I keep coming back to the boyfriend, and I don't know why. It was just those little things. Like her family had met him, and because and the sister was saying it's not that they hadn't tried, like for holidays and stuff they would invite him, but like he wasn't from that town, so like, or that he wasn't from Florida, I don't think. So he would be going back to see his family, so none of the family had met him, and then he just comes up with these glasses that nobody else was able to find. And I mean, it is also possible that she stopped to help someone or respond to
Mhm.
someone signaling her.
Yeah. I mean, that is possible. And that she would not have needed her purse or to turn the truck off to do that
Right.
or the
Mm-hmm.
car off. So I agree. I mean, and then also if the offender knew her routines or her route home, it could explain the timing and location, except again, that wasn't her normal route. So, I mean, that also doesn't make sense either. Another theory is that this was a predator searching for vulnerable victims along isolated roads.
Especially because isolated highways and rural roads have historically been hunting grounds for opportunistic offenders.
The problem for that though is that opportunistic offenders often leave less connection to the victim, making cases much harder to solve. But for me, it also doesn't like make sense because when you see the car
Hmm.
and where it is, what the hell could somebody else have done to have gotten her to pull over on the side of the road
Right.
specifically like that?
Hmm.
Like, she did not
Unless,
go far, it's not crooked, it's not all off, like, it's neat, she pulled over neatly.
so
So,
the
I don't
only
get
thing
that.
that I'm thinking is if we put those two theories together. So maybe somebody was signaling for help or something. Could have been a woman, maybe. It could have been two people. And so she pulled over to help and she got out, and
Mhm.
then somebody attacked her.
Got her.
Like a man attacked her.
Yeah.
I'm saying a man because like her clavicle was broken. I mean, not that women don't kill. It's just it
You have to
seems
be
this is
strong.
this is not an easy bone to break.
Yeah.
So something traumatic happened. And so I mean unfortunately in this situation it could be different things because we just don't have enough evidence one way or the other, which makes it
Yeah.
horrible. And in 1990, forensic technology was nowhere near what it is today.
Yeah. But the sexual element, the partial nudity, the possible assault points strongly towards a sexually motivated offender, not just a random opportunist. Which, yes, I do agree with
Hmm.
because that it still blows me though, the shoes. I mean, it's not finding women dead in their underwear and bras and stuff like that, like not having clothes, that's not unnormal or like uncommon. But
Hmm.
finding them in their bra and panties and their shoes are on,
Weird, right?
that's weird. Why is everything missing but the shoes?
But
Why the shoes?
that's weird. So, but investigators have consistently believed the body disposal site suggests local familiarity, and I have to agree with that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like it's important psychologically, right? Because offenders usually choose locations when they feel like comfortable
Hmm.
and unlikely to be interrupted or, like you were saying earlier, caught.
Right. And a remote wooded dump site can indicate confidence, familiarity, that word is very hard to say, or prior experience navigating that area.
Right. And then
Because how
as
would you know? Like, how would you know to, even if you stop someone,
right,
how would you know to go 4 miles or go
4
down the
miles
road,
this
turn
way.
off this little bitty road in the dark?
That's like a driveway in the dark, right?
Right.
And then walk 50 feet into the tree line
And
and
then
just
come
dump
find,
her.
go back to your vehicle. I mean, like all of this, it does feel like it has to be somebody from that area.
Definitely, definitely. And then, as Captain Gain and Cheryl Turner both noted, South Lee Road was not a well known road. Like we keep saying it in the 1990s. So you had to have known. They said it was almost driveway like. So,
Right.
and then this is a rural area. Like it's in the sticks,
And then,
literally.
so when I think of a rural road in at night, I don't picture street lights. I just
No,
picture if you have light, it's your headlights and the moon if there's
the
moonlight.
moon.
So it's
Yeah.
very dark.
Yeah.
But this is perhaps the most chilling and specific theory.
Okay, so like I said, the way the car was
Hmm.
pulled or found was pulled close to the edge of the road. Literally, it's like she just dipped right off of it into the dirt. You can see
Hmm.
it in the earlier part. Put
Yeah.
or you can look. We'll put it here
Mm.
so you can see. You're right. But she pulled close to the edge of the roadway. Her engine was still running. The headlights were on. All of that. clearly mimics a traffic stop.
It does. And the witness hearing, "I didn't do anything," suggests Terrell believed she was being confronted by authority.
And then Captain Gaines' statement that blue lights and badges were easily obtainable during that time makes this theory frighteningly more plausible because what really were they
It would
running
be easy.
into? Yeah.
It'd be very easy. And Gann also noted no one ever reported seeing flashing lights or hearing a siren the night Orcutt was kidnapped, which supports the impersonation theory rather than a real officer.
Right. And then remember, Terrell was afraid of dark and I and sorry. Terrell was afraid of the dark and avoided isolated roads. But if she saw flashing lights behind her, she might have felt compelled to stop, knowing that it was or assuming it was an
That it was
officer,
enough.
even
And
without
most
the
of us
siren.
would be, we would feel like, okay, we need to pull over.
Right,
If
so
we
if a
saw a
cop
cop
got
behind
behind
us,
me and put lights on, I would pull over. Even if it
yeah,
wasn't
that would
for
be my
me to
natural
pull
reaction.
over. Yeah, even if it wasn't for you to get to me. First of all, if
Right.
you pull me over without a whoop whoop, I'm not getting over. Like I'm not you're not walking up to my car. I'm sorry. If I
Yeah.
don't hear that, then I know you're not a cop because the cop gonna hit me with the whoop whoop at least.
And we know now that I mean, of course, she didn't have this option if she thought she was being pulled over by a cop on
Right.
that dark road. But we kind of know now if you feel uncomfortable, pull to a lighted, go to the
Yeah.
nearest police station or gas station. But she didn't really have that option out there.
Mm.
Obviously, we are not diagnosing anyone. This is behavioral analysis based on known offender patterns.
Right. The attack itself appears highly personal and physical, hence the broken bone.
Right. And stabbing is often considered more intimate form of violence compared to something more detached like shooting. Everything about stabbing is more sexual
It's
than
more
other ways that you're killed.
it definitely is a more personal thing. Like it takes a lot
Hmm.
more energy and time
Oh
and
yeah.
concentration
And
to
you're
stab
right up
somebody.
close.
Right. And then, like I said, the broken clavicle suggests force, restraint, or a violent struggle, which it could be any of them. But if it was a
Hmm.
violent struggle, clearly it didn't happen at the car or in the car.
Right. Right. But we also have to consider the sexual element, the partial nudity, the possible sexual assault.
Behaviorally, several possibilities stand out.
This offender may have shown organized traits, isolated location, victim removed from the scene, and minimal immediate evidence at the car.
I mean, but the body being dumped, not concealed at all, suggests either disorganization, panic, or simply not caring about discovery. And if he's local, because it just makes me think about how many other people went missing or like how many other situations are like this in that area.
Hmm. That's
Because
true.
if it
Yeah,
is somebody impersonating a law enforcement officer, I don't feel like that's a one and done thing.
that's
Maybe
true.
the killing part that was the first time, but impersonating an officer, you don't get comfortable like that where you can just pull somebody out of their car
Right,
without
and
having
even
done
if
that
it
shit.
was their first time or their last time, we would even there would be a pattern of people reporting this. I didn't see anything about a pattern like that, where they're saying, well, there were instances of people,
I mean,
somebody
but think about it
impersonating
too.
the cop.
Think about the other cases we covered where it was the police officers who were not giving information or,
That's true.
corrupting cases and trying to keep their names clean.
Hmm.
So
Right, but I'm
if
just
it
saying in the instance that it's somebody impersonating a cop, it would
Right, but I'm
seem like
saying even if it is somebody impersonating a cop, real cops aren't gonna want to put that out there that there's somebody impersonating a cop. They're not gonna want you to know that, oh, we could easily and it's a pattern, it's happening multiple times. We don't want people to know that we out here letting somebody get away with impersonating us and we're not catching them. That make us look bad.
I mean, I would just hope that they would want to say somebody is impersonating a cop. So when there's a cop out there doing crazy stuff,
I think the reason why they're not doing that either because they can't confirm or deny whether it is an actual cop or somebody
yeah,
impersonating a cop. So you
that's
can't
true.
cover that. There's nothing to cover up. And then if it is now that it's extra, you're covering up knowing it's a police officer by just
Hmm.
saying it's not this or it's not that. If you don't put that information out there, you don't bring it up,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you're not necessarily in the wrong,
Hmm.
so that and it keeps you from looking bad, even if you do think it's a cop or somebody impersonating a cop.
But organized offenders often plan ahead and control victims quickly. but they also usually hide bodies better than this.
Yeah, so in this instance, we're looking at a mixed profile, which believe it or not doesn't it nowadays probably happens more often as
Hmm.
people switch things up, but during this time was not a huge thing. People normally just had one profile. This is their thing, you
Yeah,
know?
and I think that police officers back then wouldn't even know to look for it. If it is
Yeah.
somebody with a mixed profile, they wouldn't know. If they were thinking serial killer in
Yeah.
1990,
Not they're not going
then
to think
they
mixed
they wouldn't have
profile.
thought that they could do, that they switch up.
Yeah, or it's possible it could be multiple offenders, one
Hmm.
organized and one less organized. So the one who killed was the organized one, or took her out the car, and then the one who got rid of the body was the
Right.
less organized one.
That's possible.
Yeah, cases like this are often psychologically connected to control because it just makes sense.
Yeah. The offender may have experienced gratification from overpowering and isolating a victim.
I mean, especially if the attack was involving surprise or
Hmm.
forced movement from one location to another, and then the sexual degratification. No, I didn't say that right. Sexual degradation.
So the stabbing itself, it's close, personal, and violent, and this suggests rage or a need to dominate.
And that's why it brings us back to the sister saying it's personal.
Right.
It definitely gives like they were specifically out for Teryl. Maybe a
Hmm.
crazy ass ex boyfriend or something.
That's why I keep going back to this boyfriend. Geographic profiling. Hold on. Because I say that because who else knew she was going to be on that road? I don't know that
Right.
she told him necessarily, but that's not the way she normally goes. So something like her sister keeps saying must have made her
Right.
take that way. And that's the last person that she was with. Now, I'm not saying it was him. That's just what I'm thinking.
It just the shoe fits. Yeah.
Yeah, and then geographic profiling is also interesting here because the suspect may have lived nearby, worked, hunted, or routinely traveled those roads.
I mean, yeah, because most offenders operate within areas that they know.
Hmm.
Like there's a well known area. I'm from here. And even if I'm not from here, I work out here. I'm here all the time. I know the lay of the
Something, a
land.
place you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
the routines kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And as Detective Schoonover said, you have to think who knew to put her there? Someone who was familiar with this area, like they keep saying. And cases like Terrell's matter because unsolved murders leave families trapped in permanent uncertainty.
And cold cases are not dead cases. The police are struggling or don't have enough information to cover them.
And DNA technology has solved murders decades later.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it takes is one person finally deciding to talk.
And Detective Paget said it best. Someone back there in 1990, you commit a murder, you don't keep it quiet. You tell somebody. Somebody knows. All these years later, the family going through this, it is going to take someone stepping up and making that phone call.
Cheryl Turner's fear is that whoever did this has done it before or will do it again. She said he's done it before because you can't go 23 years unless you're a devil without doing it. That's my biggest fear is that he's killed somebody else. And I mean, yeah, if you're out here killing one person, it is statistically,
Right.
once you kill
Right.
somebody, you keep doing it just
hmm I mean,
so
yeah, there are so many possibilities, but 36 years later, Terrell,
terrible.
can't say it. 36 years later, Teryl Orcutt's murder remains unsolved, but her family has never stopped pushing for answers.
And honestly, someone out there may still know exactly what happened on that road in January 1990.
Whether it was a secret kept out of fear, loyalty, or guilt.
But secrets like that rarely stay buried forever.
So if you, I don't want to go there. So if you know anything about this, please get in contact. Make sure you say something. This family has waited almost 3 decades to figure out who did this to their loved one. But if you enjoyed this episode of Coffee and Crime with Mom, make sure you follow us wherever you listen to podcasts.
And come join the Crime Fam on social media for polls, discussions, episode updates, and behind the scene content.
And again, if you have any information about the murder of Teryl Orcutt, please contact the Clay County Sheriff's Office. I'll call First Coast Crime Stoppers to remain anonymous.
We'll see you next time.
And until then, stay
Stay safe
safe and
and
stay
stay curious.
curious.